Welcome to you all, and thank you. We have a three-way presentation for you, and that in two ways. We'll all do a short presentation about, well, our perspective on the business that we do, but we will also have a conversation with you, talking about the content, the things that we know about it, and the questions that you have. To be interactive, I know you have to start with a question. I have one question for you at the beginning. Who knows who owns the garment in the hospital if you're lying in the bed, or in the hotel when you're using a towel? Who knows who owns this garment? I do. Does anyone else?
I just learned.
Who do you think?
Well, it's the companies who rent the textiles.
Yes, that rent the textiles out, exactly. It's not the hotel, it's not the hospital that washes their own stuff. That's what we do, and that's what we are from. My name is Arthur Linssen. I'm the director of the trade association FTN, the Federation of Textile Service Care Companies in the Netherlands. At the right side, there's Henk Gooijer, the project manager, active in our field, working for FTN and other organizations as well, as he will explain later on himself. And you have indeed this man from the field, the entrepreneur owning Vendrig, Rudolf Vendrig, CEO of Vendrig IJzerstein BV, and that's a laundry company that actually works with the stuff we're going to present. The three-way presentation is shown here. I'll tell you a little bit more about the sustainability of professional textile care. We've conducted research. What would happen if you'd intensify the use of garment? The outcomes of this research will be presented by Henk. And then in the end, there will be a conversation about what we've spoken about, how that works in practice. And then you are all invited to have your questions for us. For how the thing works in practice is one of the challenges that we have in the business when we're trying to make textile chain more circular, more sustainable. This is a lot of words. I'm going to help you. We all know that garments and textile are a primary necessity. And we know that they have a severe impact on the environment, right? This is caused not only by producing the textile, it's also caused by using it and washing it. And it's, not a surprise, our business. It's funny how to see that it's not to be neglected, but it's hardly paid attention to. Actually, we find very often in the field that people do not know of our existence. The big question, though, is how can we contribute? Our industry has developed over time from a consumer-oriented business in which we served households. And it's changed into, as you can see in the right picture, a more or less industrialized process industry, where we have high-quality, industrialized, large-scale processes. And these companies are really big. If you enter a laundry, you shouldn't think about a big washing machine. You should ask how long it is. It's about 26 meters long, to say. And the square meters is measured in football square, Dutch soccer square, so to say. It's a large industry, and therefore we have this capability to build up knowledge. And this knowledge is the knowledge that we are happy to share with you, with one specific remark. If you see the traditional linear flow of the production, use, and waste of textile, we intervene in the middle. And in this, conjunction between use and washing, we build up knowledge with our customers. And I'd like to end my short part of the story by explaining that this whole event in the past 2 days is to bring together all players in the textile chain, to have them working together, connect and build systems in which you can work circular. We do that already. We have one meeting at the table with the end customer using the garment, and we tell them about the material choice, the functional requirements of the garment, the impact on the usage and the washing processes, and then of course we know that in the end, when the stuff is worn out, it has to be disposed of, and we'll have this in perspective at the same time as well. That's the whole chain in one meeting. Well, the knowledge that we've built up with this, we're happy to share with you. Thank you.
So, welcome. Also again, name's me. Very nice to talk something about the business we are doing for you today, and I will focus on the effect of, let's say, the use of textiles on the sustainability of textiles. And in the professional textile care, in our opinion, we contribute in 3 different ways to that. One is that we have a sustainable washing and cleaning process. I will show you a little bit about that later on. Then we have the intensification of textile use. That will be the core of my presentation, and improving the feasibility of the textile recycling process. The goal of this is that we want to emphasize that if you look at what's happening around in the world, there are a lot of people who are designing textiles. And they are designing textiles for the looks, for the functionality of the textiles. And maybe, if they are very advanced, they also take into account that it should be recycled. And then there are also a lot of people working in recycling. They want to optimize recycling processes. And apparently there is something in between, which is called use, and that's going to consumers, and that's difficult, so we forget about it. And that's not what we would like to present today, because that is actually where the textile products are made for. It's the use and the use phase, which makes, let's say, our industry very unique, is that we are in control of that use phase, because we, as an industry, buy the textiles, we lend it to the users. After it's worn out, we take it back and we bring it to the recycling part. So we're in total control of this chain, and what we want to like you to show today is what the effect of that is on sustainability of textile use. First, a little bit about sustainable washing and cleaning processes. We did a research in 2018-2019, and what we compared is industrial cleaning. And at the left, you see a washing tunnel, as we say, which is a professional continuous washing machine. And at the right, something you should recognize yourself, because it's a domestic washing machine. And we actually made an analytical study of what is the energy use, what is the water consumption, and what is the carbon dioxide emission from those processes. With some assumptions, we came to the conclusion that if you do it professionally, there's an energy savings of 17.5%, carbon CO2 reduction of 24%. That's related to the energy source itself. And it doesn't sound very impressive, huh? So 70%, what a fuss about that. But you should remember that we took everything into account. We also took into account that a lot of people at home, when they do their domestic laundry, they put it in the laundry machine, and for drying, they use the sun, which of course is energy free. That's in this part of the analysis. So we assumed that part of the laundry, based upon studies, is line dried, as we say. We also took into account that some of the laundry is dried in the house, which is energy free in summer, but not energy free in winter, because then your heating has to work harder. So everything like that is included. And we also included that if you bring it to a laundry or a dry cleaning, there is some logistics involved. There is a van or a car which has to drive to you and bring it back to the laundry. That is all included. And even then, there is still, let's say, a sustainable advantage of the professional textile care industry. Water savings are even bigger, up to 80%. That is really impressive. And why is it possible? Because in a professional process, you can reuse the water. You can imagine that when you do the laundry at home, that in the rinsing process, that water is relatively clean. But at home, you have to throw it away, because what can you do with it? But in the industry, you can reuse that in your washing process. So that's the reason why we can save a lot of energy, up to 80% actually. So that is really massive. Then, and I'm not going too much into detail on the recycling part. Actually, we don't do the recycling ourselves, of course. What we do have is we have a significant amount of well-described textiles. So we can deliver trucks of 100% cotton towels, white. And that's, of course, is very attractive to the recycling industry, because actually we did the sorting already, because we are totally in control of the textile flow. So that is related to, that's the advantage for the textile service industry related to recycling. We know what we have, and we have it in massive amounts. Then, and that is, let's say, the core part of this presentation, let's focus on the textile use, because that is maybe also in this sessions here today and yesterday, the first time people are talking about how the textile is to be used and what's the effect of that. And the first thing what we did is we had a look, okay, if we look at what consumers are doing at home, how is textile actually used? How many times? How long? Can we tell something about that? Then we did, with an LCA tool, we did some calculations on the effect of lifetime on sustainability. And to give an impression of what it could mean if you extrapolate that one towel or one shirt to the Dutch textile consumption, we made an extrapolation to show you something about the potential savings of that. And we tried to be a little bit reluctant, so not too over-enthusiastic, but let's have a look. So, textile use characteristics. A lot of people, and it's quite boring, but when they talk about textile use, they say, the Stella MacArthur says this. And of course I used that, but I went a little bit deeper into literature, and then you can find some more information, which is also more detailed and fits better with your feeling. Because they say, oh, a textile part is only used 5 times, and then I think, okay, but when I look at my own use of textiles, this is not correct. And when you look here, what you see is the lifetime of a particular piece. And what you can see that, of course, to be expected, is very much depending on the type of material. For example, a t-shirt, average lifetime is about 4.6 years. But a suit, I think it's somewhere 8.7, yes, so that's really much longer. It also fits with what you expect yourself. And the only thing you have to take into account is that when people are questioned about the lifetime of the textiles, a lot of people have no clue. So that's why the spreading is that big. That's also why I mentioned that this. Because a lot of people actually, well, it's probably the same holds for you. You have no clue how often you washed that shirt you're wearing. So if I ask you that, then there's always a big spreading. So, but this is at least give you an impression that pieces are actually used for a number of years. Then, okay, what's of course is also interesting for us, pieces are washed, but how many times do you wear something before you wash it? And you can imagine, the last one, that the underpants, okay, you wear it 1 time and then you wash. It's logic. And the wallet sweater, you wear it 10 times before you wash it. It also makes sense. So if you look at this kind of, let's say, lifetime studies, it's very much depending on the type of material you are using, but it's worthwhile information for us. So, okay, next. So the data on washing, that's more difficult. We have identified several sources, and they say an average is about 7 to 10. That's the average. But everybody knows that your underpants are probably washed more often than your jumpers. So there is a large spreading. And to give you one example from a study, it turns out that jeans, on average based, are washed 6 times, but t-shirts are washed 22 times. Again, this, looking at my own textile consumption, this makes sense. But a lot of sources use the average, and that is should be around 7 to 10 washing cycles is the average lifetime of a textile. So for this study, we say, okay, let's suppose it's around 10 times. Then the next step is, okay, suppose the real lifetime at this moment is 10 times. What should be the technical lifetime? Suppose you have a good shirt. How many washing cycles should it endure? And we found a study defining, for example, that for a shirt, 40 lifetimes should be possible. For jeans, 30 washing cycles should be possible. For socks, 62. For a t-shirt, 56. So also depending on the garment type, there is a different technical lifetime. And what you for us, what was most striking is that there is an immense gap between the actual lifetime and the technical lifetime. And what we want to show you today is, okay, what does that mean for the sustainability if we can bring the actual lifetime a little bit closer to the technical lifetime? And that is what we studied using the Eco tool, which is a kind of LCA tool, not very deep, so it's a short way of LCA. And we can calculate things like carbon dioxide emission, water consumption, land use. And what is, I think, good to emphasize is that we express everything per kilogram of textile, which makes sense, of course, but also per washing cycle. And why do we do that? Because that is not very common in the LCA world. Suppose you have a jeans and you wash it 30 times, meaning that the energy consumption of the washing process is multiplied by 30. So your conclusion could be, if you wash it more often, it's bad for sustainability, because for that particular jeans, the energy consumption during its life is very high. So if you reduce the washing times, then the energy consumption goes down. You're smiling, but it's a quite common concept that I think I heard it yesterday also. People say, yeah, when you look at jeans, then the washing is the biggest contribution to the environmental, to the negative sustainability contribution of jeans. Let's be lucky, because otherwise, if you don't wash it, it's not a reusable material, it's a disposable material. So if you don't wash it 30 times, you need 30 jeans, and that's what should be in your mind. What is the outcome of that? Well, to make it a little bit universal, I didn't study only one type of product. I studied a number of products. I studied a shirt, 100% cotton, also cotton polyester, some underwear, some workwear, so a healthcare uniform, a workwear industry uniform, which is being used at Vendrecht. So I studied a different type of materials, and what I wanted to know was what is the effect of extending lifetime to the sustainability. And it looks something like this. This is one result, but it's quite typical actually for all results. What you see in the line here is the carbon dioxide emission as a function of the number of washing cycles. And what you see is that the more washing cycles you apply, the less carbon dioxide emission you have per use cycle. From here to here, if you go to 75, which is quite far away, but it's just to show you, from 0.5 to 5, actually is the contribution of making a textile. And this is going like an asymptote, so somewhere it will become parallel to the y-axis, and that is actually the contribution of the washing process only. But the message hopefully this picture gives is that if you expand lifetime, then you will reduce the CO2 emission connected to the use of the textiles significantly. So this is not 17% reduction, this is 75% reduction. So this is really counting, this really matters. And we can do the same with water. And actually with water it's even more impressive. So if you are able to go from 5 washing cycles to 75, your water savings is 93%. And that is really contributing. If you do this on a larger scale, this is really making a significant effect. This is making an impact on water use in general. So expanding lifetime, if you look at water consumption, if you look at carbon dioxide emission, if you look at energy emission, is really beneficial to significantly reducing the environmental impact of textile use. I showed it for the cotton shirt. So we have 5 to 10 washing cycles. The environmental impact is almost half. So if you are able to expand lifetime twice, the impact is half. And it's not that difficult, but it's a really a very effective way to reduce the sustainability impact of textile use. And if you are able to go from 5 to 50, carbon dioxide reduction of 85%, and up to 80 and 93% of 75 washes. So it's really making an impact. And this is for the cotton shirt. If you look at the other articles I studied in the study, the results are more or less the same. The only thing is that, especially for the items in which you use recycled content, of course, water consumption is much lower in the end because you use less water in the production. But the story I want to tell you today is that expansion of lifetime by more intensive use is very effective in reducing the environmental impact. And B, it should be possible to do that. So let's assume, and that is to give you an idea what does it mean for, let's say in this case, the Netherlands in general, if we are able to expand the lifetime from 10 to 20. Let's be conservative and not bring it to 40 as is in the, but let's bring it to 20 and see what's happening. So that's the first step what we did. Water consumption, if we are bringing it for this 100% cotton shirt, it's 50% reduction. To 40, 75% reduction. It's also actually meaning that if you're a little bit more mathematic, you can also see that the water consumption of the washing process itself can be neglected, but okay. And then we have also this carbon dioxide reduction, 42%, just by extending it from 10 to 20. It's, if you look on the national scale, it's a very effective and maybe also a very easy way to reduce the environmental impact of textile use. So, but that's only per kilo, eh? So if you look at this, okay, it says, okay, 400 liters per kilo or 1.47 kilograms CO2 per kilogram per use cycle. What does that mean? And that is why we made a small extrapolation. So suppose that 10% of the total amount of things being washed in the Netherlands is made out of 100% cotton, is comparable to the textile shirt. In the Netherlands, on a yearly basis, around 6.1 million tons of textile are being washed. So what is the effect if we, for 10% of those pieces, so only 10% of the total textile mountain being washed every year in the Netherlands, if we can extend the lifetime from 10 to 20 times, from 10 to 20 times, 660,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission reduction per year. Almost 260 million cubic meter of water savings per year. Just for 10%, the total amount of textiles in the Netherlands, doubling the lifetime from 10 to 20, which should be possible because we saw that the technical lifetime is around 40. And of course, if you are able to expand it from 10 to 40, it's 1 million ton carbon dioxide. It's 390 million cubic meters of water savings every year again. And of course, those savings are not achieved in the Netherlands, because most of this water and most of this carbon dioxide is being saved somewhere else in the world, just because you use less material. That is the main contribution here. So, conclusions for us. We are in control. We have a key position to enable the sustainable use of the textile products. And we can do three things. We can use more using cycles for a product, intensification of textile products, and as Rudolf will tell you, it's part of his business model to use the products as long as possible, because that's how you make money in a textile service business. Of course, our processes are a little bit more sustainable than the standard domestic washing processes, and we have a good starting position for the circular textiles. But as shown today, if you really want to make an impact on the sustainability effect of textile use, then you should have a good and clear look on the use phase of the textiles. And most striking is that a lot of researchers just simply forget it because it's too difficult or they don't know. But it is the part of the life cycle of a product where you can make a difference, and it's not that difficult. And the effect is, let's say, very significant. So, these are my final conclusions. More use washing cycles is very effective. 5 to 10 washing cycles, already a reduction of 50%. And comparing, and that is the thinking, I think that is for today also good to keep in mind. If you compare the actual lifetime of 10 washing cycles with the technical lifetime of 40 washing cycles, there is a potential. There is a chance, and we don't use that chance because we throw it away before it's really worn out. And Rudolf will show you some examples of things which are really worn out, so then you can see the difference between what you bring to the container and what we as a textile service industry bring to the container. Rudolf.
Thank you.
You can tell it from daily life, I would say.
Thank you very well. I give him to you.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
yes. In practice, you can give it. Yeah. There you see the euro, and the question is, why does the laundry have so much knowledge about sustainability? And that's because over the years we have done a lot about cost price reduction. At that time, that was the question, to lower the price. And how can you lower the price? That is mechanize and automate your laundry, but also for sustainability is reduction of gas, reduction of water consumption, and saving on electricities. That nowadays is good for sustainability. The second point already mentioned, the laundry rents out the garments. So if you rent out your garment, you want to have a long lifespan of the textile. And how longer it can take in work, the more money you can make and also lower the cost price. If it 2 times longer, is half the cost price. And the third point is the wastewater. And the governments impose minimum requirements to discharge the water. So also there were a lot of studies how you can manage your water, reuse it again, and then it goes to the chain, reel, sewage. Yeah, thank you. And then you come at sustainability in the end. Nowadays, you can go to the next sheet. Another pillar has come into our industry, and that is recycling. And if you talk about recycling, you start with designing. And that's, I have some examples. First, I have to go to first what in the end of the lifetime the textile is worn out, and what's worn out. A lot of people think we can change it to another person, but in our business that's not possible. I have some examples. Here you have a new garment. So new, and here is a worn out. So you see, we repaired it several times, but it's very thin. So when we repair it again, it's broken before you wear it. So this is worn out. So if you go back to designing, you want to have a strong fabric because it lives long. But also it needs to have comfort, because when it's not comfort, the worker doesn't wear it, and that's a very short lifetime. And of course, you want to have the least impact of the fabric. And second on design is good maintenance. We want to wash it easily and dry it easily. And of course, you know, 100% cotton takes more energy to dry than a cotton polyester or a tensile garment. And here you see already a challenge for us in the laundry, because all those different type of textile needs a different type of washing program and dry program. So when you get in the dirty linen, you have to sort it by different washing programs, because otherwise it gets broken. And to do that, you see that we more and more use chips in the garment, so we can automatically sort the garment. It comes in, we pick it up, we read the chip, and then we throw it in a white pile for the washing programs. And then the third thing about designing is how you make the garment together. And I have an example of that as well. Both garments has knee pads on it. And here you see the garment is stitched into the zoom. So if you have to replace it for a longer person or a short person, you have to take out the zoom, and it's a lot of work to change it. Here, also a coverall, and here you see the knee pad is stitched on. So when you want to change it, it's very easy to get it loose, change it, and use it. And also, when the end of lifetime there is, you see a lot of knee pads who are a different type of textile than the garment itself, like Kevlar. So if you want to recycle, you have to take them apart. So here it's very easy to do. In the other one, it's very difficult to do. And of course, it's all about money. So it's cheaper to do and it's easier to do. I mentioned also the different types of fabrics. You said it's very easy because we have lots of tons about the same piles, but with garments it's more difficult. When you have so much different fabrics, you have also to sort the different types of fabrics. And nowadays also brands want their own garments back, so you have to divide it another time. So that's a real challenge in our laundry to pick them out. We have the information, but we don't have the scale or the room to do it. So that's a thing to notice in the future. And then I'm back to my last slide, where we started.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. You're not about to leave now. There were question marks on their foreheads when the graphs were explained. I hope you understood that it's true what we presented. Washing it more often is better for the environmental impact, simply because the production's been done once, and reusing this environmental impact from production makes it dividing over many cycles better for the world. Do you have a question for Rudolf Vendrich? Then I do, and then we'll start a conversation. Rudolf, one question. I mentioned a meeting in which all parties are together and discuss all phases in the chain, in the circular chain. How much does one of your customer truly know about, let's say, the fabrics, the choice of fabrics in the garment?
In general, not much. Of course, we work for small and middle companies, so they have not a lot of knowledge about the textile.
And where do they get this knowledge from then?
From our interviews. So we asked what are the priorities, safety, image, and sustainability in their own rules.
And then you provide all that knowledge.
And then we provide the
And your
knowledge.
counterpart, what kind of a function does that person have?
Sorry?
Your counterpart, the one you're talking with, your customer.
It's
Is an entrepreneur? Is that
it's a buyer.
it's a
or,
buyer?
HR.
HR person?
HR, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And these are professionals then,
In there.
in their profession. Okay. Because you see that in a business environment like ours, we're working with professionals, okay, HR professionals, but also professional buyers, and even they do not know all they should know about material choice. And today we're talking mainly about consumers buying fabrics based on how it looks and not on the label, okay, for taking care for the washing probably, but not to really understand where it's made from, made of, okay?
Yes.
Questions? Yes. Ik ga hem vast.
Sorry. I'm Theresia Greefke. I'm from Saxion University of Applied Science. I work in the research group Sustainable and Functional Textiles and then in the Department of Sustainability. I have a question because you mentioned about the overalls with the knee pads.
Yeah.
And how do you solve this problem now? Because we did some research for the Ministry of Defense and we are facing the same kind of problems. How do you deal with it? Because it makes it more sustainable to get rid of only the knee pads and remove it and replace them. But how do you solve this problem?
Yeah, we are talking with our suppliers to make it more sustainable. And we have also our own collection, and of course we take that in our collection as well. But it's difficult because it looks nicer when it's in the Zoom, but it's more practical the other way.
I was more referring to the remark you mentioned that it's still a problem to remove it. So it's more sustainable to remove it, of course,
Yeah.
and to replace it. But how do you solve it at this moment? Because it's still, in my opinion, a technical problem.
Yeah, but we have an atelier in our laundry, and there we do that by hand. Yeah. And then, of course, a cost of money. When the coverall is worn out for half, you don't do that because it doesn't make money.
And is it then still in balance with each other? Doing it by hand, of course, it costs a lot more. And how is that?
Yeah, it's more expensive for the customer to rent a garment with knee pads in the Zoom than a knee pad on the leg. So that's a price difference. So in the end, the company, our client, is paying for it.
And are you referring to the moment that it's disposed of?
Exactly.
And then the knee pads are still on,
Yeah.
and you'll have to pay more if the fabric is mixed with different fibers.
Yeah.
That again is an economical matter. For the price will differ.
So when we deliver a garment to Strat, then it's more expensive to deliver a garment like that than a garment who's 100% cotton.
So it's simple calculation. How
It's
much
alwa-
does
it's
it
always
cost me as
calculation,
an entrepreneur to take it off?
And you as an entrepreneur have to pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We only get money if we get disposed of our waste if it's white cotton, right?
Sorry, it's?
We get only paid
For
our
white cotton,
for white cotton,
Yeah.
and for the rest we are charged.
Yeah.
Other questions? Yes, at the back.
Yes, at the moment, what are you doing with your mixed fabrics at the end of the life cycle? Because, I think in laundry and especially in workwear, you have a lot of mixed fabrics like polyester and polyester cottons.
Yeah, nowadays it is repelled for isolation materials. That's what is done. A few years ago it was only burning, and now it's repelled for isolation material.
Yeah, we are also producer of corporate wear, and we have the biggest
And
same
who are you then?
company fits. So we produce custom-made workwear.
Mhm.
We are facing same challenges also in order to make steps in sustainability, especially in circularity. We are dependent on the European fabric suppliers and what they are doing at the moment. And that makes it a chance. And I think that is what you just say. That is in the presentation. I think life cycle is something which is really forgotten in circularity. And we are looking now to make fabrics with a high content of let's say recycled cotton. But at the moment we can do maybe maximum 10-20% to get the same quality and life cycle of. I still need to deliver the garment to the hospital. It needs to be washed 120, 130 times. So
same problem.
That's a challenge indeed. I have another question here in the back.
Challenge. Yeah.
Who are you and who you're from? I'll hold it for you.
I'm Martijn Witteveen. I'm from Dubella. We are a supplier of flat textiles to the laundry industry. And I would like to ask Henk, we are normally focusing on high staple length cotton, and when we are starting to recycle, we are only getting 1/3 out of the usual. So how doesn't that contradict the expected prolonging the life expectancy?
Yes. Well, yeah, that's a difficult question also, because that's actually what the type of knowledge we're also looking for. Because what we are talking about is we have product design, product making, product use and recycling, and we have experts on product making, we have experts on product use, and we have experts on product recycling. But how is that connected? That's a little bit missing. And of course, if you use shorter fibers, you can expect that the lifetime of the product, because the product has somewhat lower, for example, mechanical strength is lower, so that has an effect. But then you should put that as an option in your LCA analytical tool, and then you can predict in the end what is the best choice. But at this moment, I think we as a whole industry, we miss the knowledge to do that in the proper way. Because nobody is able to make I have not seen it, a good LCA incorporating as well the product making, the product design, the use cycle, and the recycling part. And that's one. And secondly, what a lot of people also forget, and that is what your question is also about, is okay, then we have recycled it once. What happens when you recycle it twice, for example? So there is still a lot of unknown territory here. So actually, I know, for example, if you put in mechanical recycled cotton, probably the lifetime will be lower, but also the impact of making the material is also lower. And is that compensating that? What you have seen in my presentation is that I said that, for example, the water consumption savings are lower when you use recycled material. Why is that? Because you don't use that much virgin material. So the outcome, you put it in your LCA, then you can see. So maybe the shorter lifetime is compensated by less energy use and, for example, less water consumption in the production phase. But that's a question which probably depends on a lot of factors. So the clear answer is it's to be studied.
Other questions? Yes.
Yes, Jens Ullerich, also from Saxon University of Applied Sciences. I have also a question to Henk about the really interesting environmental study. You studied there the household textiles, so the normal garments we are wearing.
Yeah.
And you said that actually the industrial laundry is more sustainable than the household laundry, which is for me a good sign. Do you also advise that we more from our personal garments should bring to the professional laundries?
Well, being a representative of the professional laundry industry, I would say yes. I would also say don't do it all at the moment, because at this moment I showed 6.1 million tons, about 5% is professional clean. So if we bring in the next 95% tomorrow, there is a big issue. But yeah, if you look from a sustainability perspective, yes, that would be an improvement. But the lifetime is your own responsibility then. Huh? Apart from, and that's maybe something good to mention, some people in our industry, they also offer for particular also private and domestic clothing a rental service. And that could also, for something you don't use every day, you have a nice dress for a reception, something like that, you can rent that, you bring it back, they clean it properly, and then somebody else can rent it. Instead, that stays in your closet. Maybe you can tell something about that, Rudolf, because I know you're doing that.
When it's too commercialized, you...
No, but it's...
Another part of our company is to rent out garments for women, like a Netflix abonnement. Then you can rent 4 items a month, use them several times, send them back, look at the website, choose new ones, and we send them to you at home. And it's nice to see that a lot of articles are rented, which you normally buy, use once, twice, go in the closet, and never use it again. And those garments are particularly good to rent and use, at work, at a reception, wedding. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've a third answer to this remark or question. I'm myself from the trade association. We have a vision laid out that indeed, if we know that household washing is less friendly and professional is better, we should move that way. But it's difficult to understand. But if you take into comparisons and other transformations that we've had, even in the Netherlands, for example, the washing of our cars. My father did that on a Saturday in the street. And I myself, I do that professionally taken care of. I push a button and it's done for me. And another comparison could be the supermarkets that come at home and deliver my goods at my place, and I give them back a package. Why do I not give them a bag of, mijn wasje? There are a few concepts that have started now, and the business is there. It's still quite small, but we foresee this future. And second, there's something more nearby, and that's in the professional wearing industry. For example, the people that fill the goods in the supermarket, let's say Albert Heijn. The garment that they wear, they take that home and do their wash at home. Things get lost, things get verwassen, asterisks. But still it's cheaper for Albert Heijn to do so, but it's less friendly for the environment. So what we suggest to do for the Ministry of Environmental Affairs, legislation. All the garbage that a professional company gets rid of is to be done professionally. You're not allowed to throw your bags in the bins in the street. You have to contract that. And that's not the case for the laundry. We could easily change that. And the professional service care companies do only about 5% of that market. And then it's not the consumer market, which is too large, but this one is easy to grab. And so we slowly will, learn everybody that taking care of your textile is contributing. And then the transformation might start. I've been in energy while we made the transformation to sustainability. And in the beginning, this was news report laundry, just a photograph of a windmill, and then you were sustainable. And it's now transformed into a truly actual durable business. This might happen with laundry as well. Sorry for the long answer, but it is a really important issue in the coming years. You had another question?
2 remarks, maybe.
Okay.
One about this rental service. There are also LCAs about rental service that show that rental service is not always a good choice for sustainability, but I don't know, it really depends on the business model, I think, and how you work it out. And there was also one question about the professional care, because you showed that denim can be washed 40 times when you wash it at home. is the professional care also better for the garments and more gentle, so you maybe extend the lifetime even more in that?
Yes, it is.
Next question.
But the reason is also clear, because if you are a professional textile service company like Rudolf is, you have an interest that you don't damage your textiles. So you used the most, let's say, soft washing process as possible to make it fit for reuse again, because that will extend lifetime, and in that case, you earn more money. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So yeah, we really
for the vent out, but
so you really focus on let's say, not damaging the textiles.
It's part of the business model. We should contract you.
I think I have a good business idea for a combination of the professional laundries and, for example, mud jeans that make this lease contract for jeans. Maybe you can combine, and they not lease out jeans, but they lease out a wear of the jeans, so you can get it back and professionally care it, and then give it back to the consumer.
Excellent idea. Yes, H&M, the clothing store in Amsterdam, has a how's it called? A flagship store where they rent out as well and they repair everything. And they work with one of our companies to get the stuff clean before it's brought back in. So the relationship's already there. But the business concept will grow. Yeah. Another question again?
Two short questions. The comparison you make between home laundry and industrial washing, it's only the wash process, right? It's not the pick up and bring back the garments?
The pick-up and bringing back is included. So we included, straight from my head, that there is a 10-kilometer drive from your home to the laundry. And of course, if you change that it will be bigger, but that's included.
One other question, one other remark is what you mentioned is with the laundry. We see in, for example, hospital wear, there are two different types of contracts. The laundry can buy the garments, or the hospital can buy the garments. And it makes a big difference in the life cycle of lifetime of a garment. Because if the laundry buy them by themselves, they want to have a really long delivery date on a long time that they can use the garments. But for example, I deliver to laundry, and I went together because I had problems by the washing, and then I went together with the fabric supplier to the laundry to show them, okay, your washing process, you have pressure on your washing process, so you put too much garments in one wash cycle, because for them it doesn't matter. So there's a different type of, I think, the process and the sustainability also. When laundry buy the garments, or when a hospital buy the garments and only have a contract for the washing.
But then you have also different products, different garments. That's true. Because you centralize your program on the garments the laundry buy, and that doesn't always fit with what the customer buys himself. That's true. That's very difficult, because when we buy the garment, we know exactly what's in it and how it's made. And we put the chip in it. And when the customer or the company buys themselves the garment, we don't know exactly what's in it for type of textile. And then it goes on the big pile in the washing machine.
Okay. If you've booked a seat on that side of the angle, you're not to ask questions. There is a question.
Only a small question. Is this presentation shared? Website, or where can we find the presentation?
Yeah, the question is?
Is this presentation shared somewhere?
I can answer that, Arthur. Yes, sometimes I told it at the beginning, but you might have missed it, and it's a very interesting question. What I have understood is that both yesterday and today is recorded fully, and then they will publish it on YouTube. So you can clip it, you can see the presentations, etc. And so it will be shared a few days after this seminar. So I hope this answers your question. Yeah.
Yes, and then from my point of view, if you have any other question, just contact us, and we'll be happy to share the information. We've got 2 minutes left.
Just in time.
Just in time. No more questions? Okay. I think that we've finished this presentation. And
Super.
thank you.